Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I will be recapping the Infinitors. The Donghua begins as we see a girl talking to a boy who is asleep. It was just a dream though, as the guy wakes up on a crowded train. His name is Zheng, and he looks out the window to see the city full of skyscrapers. The train comes to a stop and he heads to an office where he has to complete facial recognition. He walks through the office and goes to his desk where he sits down, and sadly looks at a picture of a girl. Day turns into night and he gets a phone call from his mom where he says that his boss has high expectations, so he is working overtime. She reminds him to eat and drink enough water, but he starts ignoring her as he looks at the picture of the girl and thinks about her. His mother starts talking about his aunt knowing a girl that he could go out with, but he doesn't care and tells her to take care of herself before ending the call. Suddenly he gets another call and answers it. It ends up being his boss, who says that he has another project he needs Zheng to complete by 10 a.m. tomorrow. He explains that it takes time to download the files before creating a report, but his boss disregards this, telling him that young people must find a way to overcome the obstacles placed in front of them. He gets angry about this and goes to throw his phone, but controls himself. As promised, he stayed up very late again, so it's just him in the office until he is startled by a security guard. They talk about work and how easy it is to lose the job. And whilst they're talking about this, Zheng gets a separation notice notification on his computer, which prompts him to get angry and bash his desk, causing all the things to fall down, including the picture frame of the girl, which smashes. He looks at the picture. On the back it says, "Live long for my sake." He places it into his pocket before getting a strange pop-up on his laptop, asking if he wants to know the true meaning of life. He clicks yes and is sent to an abyss where a strange octopus-like creature tries to suck him in. He hangs onto a rail as everything collapses around him, and then teleports onto a train where a voice says, "Welcome to the world of the Infinitors." He accidentally touches some glass, and then looks around him to see some people who are just as confused about where they are. They all notice that they have the same watch on their wrists. Zheng starts asking questions, and one of the people, who is called Jia, says that they're on the intelligent terminal, and that all the information is being transmitted to their hearts and brains, before telling him to stop asking silly questions. One of the guys disregards this and says that they're just being pranked, calling out to what he perceives as the director of the prank. He then spots a girl and starts hitting on her, but Zheng is quick to tell him to stop. He throws his watch on the floor and gets more aggressive before falling to the floor, grasping his chest in pain. He desperately grabs another guy before ultimately falling out of consciousness. He suddenly rises again, startling everyone, and then falling to the floor once more. They're all bewildered, and the other guy tells him to get up before checking his pulse and noticing that his heart isn't beating. He also freaks out and assures them that he didn't do anything, knocking on the door of the train and shouting to be let off, but Zheng is once again the voice of reason, saying that the train is controlled by computer programs. He gets pushed to the floor and tensions rise until Jia shoots a warning shot. He tells them to stop being stupid, explaining that as soon as they clicked yes, they were cut off from the original world, and that this world will give them a reason as to why they're alive unlike the previous world. They ask how they can go back, and he tells them that only the winners can go back. He mentions that the winners will be rewarded with anything they want from the main god. The girl asks if they're in a game, and he says that that is one way of putting it. Zheng points out that Jia must be a veteran of the game, and he says that this is the fourth world he has entered. They figure that they should give each other their names, so we learn their names: Zhan, Hongyi, Yang, Aunt Lan, Zhao. Suddenly, the train starts shaking, and so Jia closes the door. There are strange noises coming from the other carriage, and then a scary hand with claws starts scraping the window. A voice starts saying that there is an emergency, and that Bramble Technology is having a major accident, so rescue services will be there in 5 hours. They ask Jia questions about it, and he responds by saying it means nothing good, and that there will be no survivors. Yang kicks the door open in anger and hangs outside of the train, encountering a monster. Zheng helps him inside, and Jia looks outside where there are countless monsters climbing on the train. He casually starts shooting them, and Zheng proves himself useful by using a fire extinguisher. Zhan saves Hongyi, and he instinctively kills one of the creatures with a pole. Noticing that he gained 50 points, Jing protects Lan and Yang, and despite their inexperience, they are able to fend off the monsters very well. The train comes to a sudden stop, so they all run off, and Jing says that they're heading to his old workplace. They arrive there and the verification system doesn't work, so the doors don't open, but he sees the security guard inside the building and he tells him to open up. Jia goes to shoot it, but the guard says that he'll open it. He does so and Yang goes inside, leaving Jing to keep the door open for everyone to go through. Aunt Yan loses her phone and tries to grab it as the monsters speedily approach. Jing tries to save her. There is a big struggle until he eventually lets go and the monsters kill her. We see a butterfly fluttering through the train and the city where the monsters are still in full force, climbing on the roofs of buildings. Inside the office, they're all hidden behind the front desk, with Yang becoming increasingly more enraged as he shouts at Hongyi. Jing goes to the young boy's defense, and then Yang starts strangling him, so Jia puts an end to the silliness, firing a warning shot and threatening to kill him. The danger rises as the monsters slightly open the door. Zhan suggests the idea of going to the roof, and then Jing goes to ask the guard something. He seemingly doesn't recognize him, and Jing asks if he was sent there by the main god, which causes an electric shock to be sent through his entire body. Jia explains that the game forbids the players from telling anyone about the main god, and says that people he recognizes from the past world are not the same in the new world. He loses 100 points for mentioning the main god. They interrogate the guard, so he tells them that there was a group of players that the monsters tore to pieces, and talks about the accident that Bramble Technology had. He starts getting defensive, and as this happens, the monsters manage to pry the door open, so they all rush upstairs and get on an elevator, but they don't let the guard on, as Jia points a gun at his head and says that he is hiding something from them. He says that the lock that needs to be unlocked to get onto the roof is electronic, and only he knows the password. A monster turns the corner, so Jing vouches for him and lets him on to the elevator. Hongyi freaks out about the situation and Yang mocks him. Xiao and the guard share a strange glance at each other, and then she mysteriously says that something is coming. They hear the monsters climbing up the elevator chute, and then everything starts shaking and going dark. Zhan grabs hold of Zhang and hugs him as everything continues to shake rigorously. It finally stops, and Jia opens the elevator lid, climbing on top of it. Yan tries to push them out of the way, but Jing has had enough of him, and then Jia intervenes, pointing his gun at him and telling him that he must have a bad memory. Jing helps Zhan up, and Zhao is somehow able to jump up there with no assistance, because of how heavy he is. Yan is harder to get on top of the elevator, and he sees a monster which scares him even more, but he eventually gets up there. Suddenly the zombies also climb on top of it, so Jia's instincts kick in and he starts shooting them whilst the others climb up to the roof. Jing and Hongyi are stuck on the elevator still, and he tells the young boy to pull himself together before helping him up. They continue to climb, and Zhan is concerned about Jing, who is still down there. One of the monsters grab hold of Hongyi, so he grabs Yang, and then the pieces of the ladder start to fall off. A monster gets inside of the elevator, followed by many others, so he has to use his limited skills to get out of the elevator before it falls down and crushes all of the creatures. The chain that Yang, Hongyi, and the guard formed proves to be fatal, as they all eventually fall off, and Zhang is only able to catch the security guard. He struggles to keep hold of him, however he tells Zhang that he can't let go since he is the only one who knows the cure to contamination, pointing out that he has been infected. Zhang almost falls down, but Jia is able to catch him and they all grab onto the ladder. Zhan is in some trouble, but Zhao manages to save her, revealing the blade she has on her gloves and telling them that she can't take useless people as her teammates. Finally they get onto solid ground and Jia tells them to not worry about Zhao since they have their own business to worry about. They walk inside of a room where there are monsters inside of containers, and the guard sneakily splits off from the group. Jing offers to give Zhan his jacket, and then winces in pain because of his injury, but Jia helps fix it, telling him to stay out of his way. Jia says that the main god will drop hints to help them through each mission. Jing suddenly falls to the floor and Zhan asks him what's wrong. His whole arm goes a weird color and they establish that he has been infected. With no second thought, Chia points his gun at him, but that's where this video ends. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.